2400. You must be 18 years or older to call.
Tonight is a chilling tale of a woman's desperate search for youth and beauty.
I have not tested yet.
You will on me.
But the transformative effects come at a deadly cost. The Wasp Woman, starring Susan Cabot, tonight on Russey Reels.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's show. If you're seeing this, the month of zero prepped hard work and just straight pretty much commitment to this paid off, and it was a finished project I did. So if you're seeing this tonight and joining me, then everything worked out just fine. Welcome to Russey Reels. I'm your host, Russey, of course. And I hope you enjoy yourself tonight. A few things I want to clarify before we keep going is that something I noticed about the logo and the promo I did is that every third Saturday does not mean 3 weeks from now on that Saturday is going to be the next show. No, it's going to be next month on the 15th, I believe. And then after that, I think it's the 20th of May. So every third Saturday of the month is when these happen. It's not every 3 weeks. Just wanted to clarify that because someone asked me, and if there's one person doing it, then there's probably multiple thinking it. So, yeah. Tonight's film is a 1959 horror film directed by the legendary Roger Corman, who is a person you're going to hear about quite a bit tonight. It stars Susan Cabot in the lead, Barbara Morris of Bucket of Blood notoriety, which we will talk about another time, and Michael Mark. The film's plot centers around a woman's lust for eternal cosmetic youth and how her path goes a little astray, to say the least. This film's got de-aging kittens, wasp stings, of course, and some OSHA violations to keep us entertained. So, I hope you're excited as I am, and enjoy.
Now, don't get nasty, my little friend. Your puppy is not going to hurt you one bit. Just relax and sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. And in the morning, you'll find yourselves in your new home. Eh, my pets?
Good morning, Doc. What you got there?
Ivan, I found some new friends. Listen.
Wasp, you better be careful. They can sting a man to death.
Don't worry, we understand each other. They know who their friend is. They can tell.
Yeah, but they know when you ain't, too.
Nonsense. If you knew about wasps what I know, you'd have no fear of them, my boy. No fear.
Hey, you! Give us a hand here. Hello there, Mr. Barker. Yeah, surprised to see you out here in the field, sir. How are things running at the front office?
Smooth as honey, Renfro. I see here you turned in over 1,000 pounds of orange blossom honey and 400 of beeswax last month, Renfro. Congratulations. You've made the top of the list again.
Thank you, sir.
Holiday honey needs your kind of man, Renfro. You stay with it, and I can see a bright future for you with the company.
Well, I do try to do my best, Mr. Barker. I try to take my inspiration from the bees. Always busy, busy, busy.
Yes. What about this fellow, Dr. Zinthrop?
Zinthrop? Boy, there's a nut. Him and his bees. You know, it wouldn't surprise me someday to see him flapping his arms, taking off after some queen bee with the rest of the drones.
Well, he's paid to do research on royal jelly. Haven't had a progress report from him in a month.
Well, he has a little workshop up there back of the orange grove. Keeps a few colonies.
I suppose I better go up there and take a look. Hey, you! Where's this fellow Zinthrop?
Oh, he's up where the extractor is, up there.
Hey. This isn't a honeybee. These are wasps.
Wasps? Who's responsible for this?
Most likely Dr. Zinthrop, sir. I told you he was a crackpot.
Zinthrop, huh? Zinthrop. Zinthrop! Zinthrop! Now look here, Zinthrop, what's all this nonsense about wasps?
I'm so glad you dropped in, Mr. Barker. Mr. Barker, I'm on the verge of a great discovery.
Discovery? What do you mean?
Well, sir, I almost perfected a new method of extracting royal jelly from the queen wasp.
According to my figures, you're better at extracting funds from the company. Now look here, Zinthrop, over $1,000 last month for miscellaneous.
Yes, I know. But, Mr. Barker, let me just show you something. Just let me show you something. Already I've learned to slow the process of aging. Soon, I shall be able to reverse it entirely.
What are you getting at, Zinthrop?
Look, what do you see?
I see a big dog and a little dog.
Let's say an old dog and a young dog.
All right, so what?
But they're exactly the same age. You see, the little one, Greta, has been given regular injections of my compound from the queen wasp.
Just like I told you, Mr. Barker.
Now look here, Zinthrop. I understand about science and progress and all that, but you were attained to extract queen bee royal jelly. Now, it's a health food, a cosmetic. It's not a miracle drug or an elixir of youth. That sort of thing is impossible.
Oh, but Mr. Parker...
Zinthrop, I'm sorry, Zinthrop, but I'm gonna have to let you go. You just don't seem to be one of the team. You understand. Good luck. I'm sure you'll fit in somewhere.
Fit in somewhere. Oh, now, don't worry, my friend. We shall find a home somehow, somewhere. Oh, but you sound impatient. I know. It's your babies, huh? They're hungry and they must be fed. Now, how would you like a nice, juicy little caterpillar, huh? You'd like that, wouldn't you? There. Now, you must eat them. Be strong because, well, a lot of work to do together. Yes, sir. A lot of work.
As you can see, gentlemen, sales for the last fiscal quarter have dropped 14.5%. There has not been a corresponding drop in our competitor sales. I trust one of you gentlemen has a satisfactory explanation for this decline. Not one little suggestion, gentlemen. We'll start with you, Thompson. As public relations manager, no doubt you have some faint glimmering of what's happening to Starlin products. Well, Thompson?
Well, you see, I
had no idea you were such an excellent public speaker, Thompson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Starlin. I guess I'm not feeling very well this morning.
I'm sorry you aren't.
I think I can tell you why Starlin products are falling off so badly, Miss Starlin.
We're listening, Lane. Where would you put the responsibility for this decline?
On you, Miss Starlin.
I imagine you have arguments to support that contention.
We've all been looking at it for the past 20 minutes. The most convincing argument is right on that graph. May I show you? Thank you. Now, right here in April is when Starlin sales started falling off.
Very clever of you, Lane.
Would you mind waiting until I finish, Miss Starlin?
That's enough, Lane.
Relax, Willis. My apologies for the interruption. Go on.
Thank you. Now, as I said, sales began to fall in April. But the reason for the fall was back here in February. Starlin products have always been thought of as something of a modern miracle in the cosmetics trade. A firm built to a multi-million-dollar-a-year business on the strength and appeal of one person, Janice Starlin. From the beginning, right through until February of this year, only one woman's face was used to advertise those products. Your face, Miss Starlin. The public have come to accept you as a symbol. Well, now, after 16 years, they see a different face. They don't trust it. They feel cheated. The simple fact is that Starlin Cosmetics should have Janice Starlin's picture advertising them. Well, that's about all I've got to say.
And a darn good job of saying it, too.
I agree. Lane makes a lot of sense on that score, Miss Starlin.
I think I've had enough flattery for one morning, gentlemen. It was a very convincing argument, Lane.
There's a Mr. Zinthrop to see Miss Starlin.
There's only one small factor you've overlooked. Not even Janice Starlin can remain a glamour girl forever.
Miss Starlin,
Yes, Mary.
there's a Mr. Zinthrop in reception. He says he has an appointment.
Thank you. Well, this has been a very informative get-together. That'll be all for now. Oh, Arthur,
Yes, Miss Starlin.
I'd like to see you in my office, please.
Sure, Miss Starlin. Take it easy, hotshot. Something on your mind, Miss Starlin?
You've done some work on royal jelly, haven't you?
A little.
Are there any real therapeutic values in it?
Well, I'd say so. Of course, a lot depends on each individual's reaction to the stuff.
What do you mean?
It's just that no two people react in precisely the same way. One man's meat's another man's poison.
Oh. But you think royal jelly can be beneficial in some cases?
Queen bees set a lot of store by it.
I'll accept that as an affirmative answer. Supposing a more powerful form of royal jelly could be obtained. From the queen wasp, for example. I mean, well, do you suppose that might have some rejuvenating effect on a human being?
I'd stay away from wasps if I were you, Miss Starlin. Socially, the queen wasp is on a level with the black widow spider. They're both carnivorous. They paralyze their victims and then take their time devouring them alive. They kill their mates in the same way, too. Strictly a one-sided romance.
Well, I'm not exactly interested in the love life of the queen wasp. I want your opinion on the possibilities of using enzyme extracts from royal wasp jelly, commercially.
Well, if you want an honest opinion, Miss Starlin,
Of course I want an honest opinion.
then my advice is forget about it.
Thank you, Arthur.
Anytime, Miss Starlin.
Have Mr. Zinthrop come in.
Yes, Miss Starlin. You can go in now, sir.
Oh. About time.
Janice Starlin Enterprises.
Miss Starlin?
Yes. How do you do? I'm afraid I won't be able to give you much time, Mr. Zinthrop.
But it is I who give you the time, Miss Starlin. Oh, yes. Plenty of time I give you. 10, maybe 15 years I give you.
I want you to understand one thing very clearly, Mr. Zinthrop. I expect absolute proof of what you claimed in your letter. Tangible proof, not words.
Such proof you shall get, madame. And more. But I think I better show you in the laboratory, yes?
All right.
Look.
They look terrible. Why don't you put them out of their misery?
Madame, you ask for proof. Please be kind enough to look at proof you ask for. May I proceed? Thank you. Now, come, little. In a few minutes, madame, you shall see a miracle you shall not believe. Oh, no tricks. You may look if you like. I have no tricks. Well, don't look at me. I'm not changing.
Don't believe it. It's not possible.
I see you do not believe one animal, so I bring two. I show you again, yes?
Yes, I must be sure.
Yes, madam.
So, what makes this game so special? Is it because it's a good game? Or is it because it has to do with this one little series, you might have heard of it, called Harry Potter? And yeah, I think we all can agree that the, enormous popularity of this game isn't due to the game itself, but the IP it's attached to. Harry Potter, without saying, is one of the biggest cultural stepstones on the planet right now. You have seen it referenced, you have seen it, probably. I don't think there's many people on the planet who don't at least know a little bit about it, similar to, Superman or Spider-Man or any of those types of properties that are just so big that it's more than a household name, it's a planetary name. An entire planet knows what it is. So what makes this game special? Is it the game, or is it the IP? It's definitely the IP. I played about 30 hours, and I didn't finish the game, mind you, but I know everything's going to happen, and I pretty much did a majority of everything you're supposed to do. The first 10 hours of this game are awesome. They're great. You arrive at the castle, because this is speaking as someone who grew up on Harry Potter and still enjoys Harry Potter. Not as much as I used to when I was a child, but I still have a fondness for the series, even without, which we'll get to, its creator. So, as I was saying, first 10 hours of this game, awesome. Arriving at Hogwarts and going around the school and going around the world are amazing. They're just brilliant. The castle has so much detail put into it. There is so much here. There's great little moments as you walk around the castle. You'll see poltergeist ghost interacting with the environment. You'll find students getting into magical trickery that of course they would do if you were giving children the ability to kill others and do all these crazy things. But yeah, there's just a lot of great details in this world that Avalanche Studios has built. Now, the thing is, the puzzles and the detail are immaculate. That first 10 hours is a 10 out of 10. IGN and a lot of other big, notable game reviewers gave this game like 9, 10, 8, around there. And this game was ranked very highly on Steam. I think it's very positive or overwhelmingly positive. And yeah, it is a huge success. But the longer the game went on, my first 10 hours were awesome. The next 10 hours, I would say 8. The next 10 hours, we'll get to right now. So the thing about Hogwarts Legacy is that the story is terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Well, I've heard it's serviceable, which I agree, but the story is pretty bad in this game. I don't care about any of these characters. I thought I would, but no. These characters aren't interesting, besides Sebastian, the Slytherin student who you interact with. But everyone else, no. Everyone else is very stale. It almost feels like a parody movie. It feels like a movie that doesn't exist. So this game feels like its narrative doesn't exist. And I think that's kind of the point. See, when I played on my PlayStation 2 here, when I played these games as a kid, that was the best part, was finding puzzles, interacting with the world, and it feels like they have brought that aspect into a modern time. It really does feel like that. It feels like those games have been brought forth from where they were. But it's similar to, I think about this game as the way I think about the movie Coraline, or the book Coraline. I think it's in the book. There's a scene where Coraline and the cat are walking, and they're walking away from the other mother's house. And the further they get, the more abstract the world becomes. And basically the cat tells Coraline, she made something along the lines, she made what you needed to see. And I really think that has to go with this game in general. She made what you needed, or they made what you needed to see. You saw Hogwarts, and you saw Hogsmeade. You heard that damn Wildsmith woman telling you every few seconds how she made flu powder as you walk to these areas that, you know, you've seen in the books, you've seen in the movies, and that area is done so well. But the further you get away, the further you step away from that center of the universe, that sun, it's, you know, it becomes more and more abstract. It becomes more and more just dull. The outside areas, there's not much to do. There's balloons you can pop in the air, and there's just things like that. It's not really good. It's not really good. Just the further you get out, just the worse it gets. The narrative doesn't make you want to go out. Only the movies and the books make you want to sightsee. This game is sightseeing in the Wizarding World. That's how I would describe it. The combat is pretty fun. It's simple, but it works, and I had a fun time doing it. I turned off the HUD and such, so I made it a little bit harder, and I played on hard, so yeah, that really made the game a bit different, and I enjoyed like having to memorize what combo on my controller was what spell. I think that was a very fun thing, but that wasn't like the base game, so I just made it better for myself. But the base game, yeah, the combat is serviceable. Similar to the story in this, it is serviceable. And yeah, there's also this tonal dissonance. You're walking around this like magical world. You're 15, you're a fifth year, you're 15 years old. You're walking around this magical world. Walk into the forbidden forest. Nice, JK. Very subtle, but the forbidden forest, without getting in trouble. People even tell you to go into forbidden forest to find things. And you're 15, and you're picking up people and throwing them into the ground until they go limp. And you're slicing people, and you're setting people on fire. There's even a milestone in combat you can get where you torture a burning enemy. A dude is on fire, and it wants you to use Crucio on him. I don't know, it's just kind of weird when you don't feel anything when you do these evil acts, and it's even fun, but I know it's not like Last of Us 2 or a game that kind of like reprimands you for your violence, but it feels strange to play a minor going against grown men and goblins, throwing them against the ground, and killing them. I don't know. That's just me. I don't think it really matters that much because it's a video game, but at the end of the day, that is kind of strange, and it feels rather bizarre. yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but that's just how it was, and it was kind of funny, becoming so powerful at the age of 15. You know, because Harry in the books and such struggled to fight these people, and like even felt, you know, bad when he did these spells. But in this game, you're just like, you know, doing Avada Kedavra, Crucio, or Imperio just left and right, and it doesn't even matter. You're just doing these unforgivable curses that seemingly seem pretty forgivable in this world. Now, onto the creator. I bought this game secondhand. I did not contribute directly to the cause, but I still bought the game. And I don't know what can be said that hasn't been said about J.K. Rowling at this point. We know she's transphobic and slightly bigoted for sure in other regard, even if intentional or not, but that's a whole can of worms. So I bought this game due to, and what this is really about, nostalgia. Nostalgia is why people bought this game. I don't think there's any denying that. I think nostalgia and a huge like uproar, controversy, and just news about this game is really what made it so huge. Because you see people who have never played or watched or read any Harry Potter content before this playing this game. So there's something that definitely drew people to this, what is a mediocre game. Even people who don't care about this universe. But I would say overall, there's an overwhelming amount of people who are nostalgic for this series, who are, you know, just reliving their childhood. And that's what I got this. But I think nostalgia is a drug. You know, I think it's a drug I took too much of this time around. And after 30, 40 hours, what I have in the game, I can safely say, for me at least, that this game is a 6 out of 10. And I will be selling it, because I don't want this in my house anymore.
Now, back to the Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
Welcome back. Tonight's root beer, Margot's Dark. Of course, this is never sponsored. Is the one we're going to try tonight. I hope it's a twist off. If not, it's going to be... Okay, it is not a twist off. I thought of this. So, we're going to try it and see what we think. Alright, Margot's Dark. Drink a bite root beer. Alright. Also, all proceeds go to help shelter dogs. Okay, sure. That's good. Oh my god. I made my eyes water. No, that is really good, actually. It tastes a lot like Dad's root beer. Tastes a bit of Bark's root beer in there, but mostly Dad's. No, that is really good. Okay, sure. Margot's Dark. We're gonna give Margot's Dark a... That's really good. We're gonna give that a 9 out of 10. All right. Even Janice Starlin can't remain a glamour girl forever, she says. Those first few minutes of the film that we saw were not in the original cut. The scene with the beekeepers and Dr. Zinthrop, those were not in the original cut. The original cut started with the office scene, which I guess Corman... There's two things that are possible with that. One, either Corman thought it was a boring start to have just the office scene where she's going through that funny chart of stocks. Or two, and this could be true and hopefully not, so Corman would re-release films that he didn't have the copyright to, and they were in the public domain. He would re-release a new cut of it that he copyrighted. So hopefully this is not the case with this. We will have to see, and I'm sure we're going to know either tonight or tomorrow. And speaking of that office, it's very funny how there's like 3 organic chimneys. There's 3 people just smoking away, and I know it's 1959. I just think it's very funny because when Janice Starlin pulls William Dodrick's character, Arthur Cooper, into her office, and Arthur Cooper is classy with his smoke, so he has that Sherlock pipe. It looks great. And trust me, we're going to see more of that pipe throughout the movie. But when they go into his office, or her office, I think it is funny how she's talking about these medicinal properties, getting these cosmetic enhancements, all while smoking things that are proven to age your skin even faster. I know it's 1959, and I know it wasn't intentional to be kind of commentary or anything, but that's just really funny. Speaking of medicine, apparently, to Dr. Zinthrop, these Wasp enzymes have some kind of rejuvenating effect. So, let's see if he's right.
Well, Miss Starlin, does my secret have interest for you, yes?
What are your terms, Mr. Zinthrop?
First, I must have a laboratory equipped with everything I need for my research. If we're successful, well, I ask for a little percentage. But I must get full credit for my discovery. That is most important to me.
I'll have Gordon draw up the contracts.
Oh, contracts. Contracts I do not need. You give me your word. Good enough for me.
You amaze me. Frankly, when I received your letter, I thought you were just another eccentric. But there was always a chance you might not be. Then you walk in here and show me nothing short of a miracle. 2 miracles. And you say that you'll accept my word that I won't cheat you.
You won't. I know you're a good woman, even if you do not like other people to know it. However, my formula may not be good for human beings. I have not tested yet.
You will on me.
Oh, no. There might be danger.
Those are my terms, Mr. Zinthrop. Janice Starlin will be your next guinea pig.
Very well. Though it may take a little time to prepare sufficient extract, a week, maybe more.
I'll make whatever arrangements you may need for your equipment.
Thank you, madame. Now I see how you built all this.
I'm very close to losing it, Mr. Zinthrop. Maybe working together we can save Janice Starlin Enterprises. Maybe even make it bigger than ever before.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm sure the next 3 months we'll see a rise in Starlin sales that will surpass anything we've dared imagine. Mr. Zinthrop is working on the final stages of a development that will revolutionize the cosmetic industry. He's to have a free hand in his experiments and will be answerable to no one but myself. At the moment, I cannot divulge the nature of Mr. Zinthrop's experiments, but I can assure you it will bring worldwide recognition to Janice Starlin Enterprises.
Zinthrop must be the granddaddy of all confidence men to taking a gal like Starlin. Why doesn't somebody wise her up?
Like you, for instance? Bill, what makes you think Zinthrop really isn't on the level? After all, we don't even know what he's working on. It could be very legitimate.
You're as bad as she is. Oh, women.
Men. Every time you're stuck for an answer, you always come up with women. You're not getting out of this one so easily. I'd like to know why you think Zinthrop really hasn't got something.
Well, you can call it male intuition if you like. It's just that there's something about this whole business that doesn't smell right. The private laboratory, the secret experiments, Zinthrop himself. The only thing that's missing is a genie with a lamp.
You better leave the intuition to me. Come on. I'll let you buy me dinner.
Buy you dinner? What's happened to your sporting blood? I thought we were going to toss for the check.
Oh, no. You won the last 3 times.
All right, look, I'll make a deal with you. Dinner is on me if you promise to keep an eye on what goes on in there.
What do you want me to do? Read her mail and send you messages and keep your code?
You could do worse.
Oh, no, Mr. Cooper, not you, too.
I've been trying to tell Bright Eyes here that I think Zinthrop is a phony and a confidence man.
If I were sure of that, I wouldn't be worried. I think he's a lot more dangerous. A quack.
Well, I don't follow you, Coop.
Well, a confidence man would just be interested in your money. The only damage they can do is to your pocketbook. A quack can be fatal.
So I says to him, I says, listen, Irving, I'm getting sick of this TV every night. I mean, you know, we can do the same thing in a nightclub. Well, almost. Good morning. Janice Starlin, Enterprises. I got 2 words for you. Drop dead. Twice.
Irving?
Calls me to tell me Dr. Cyclops is on Channel 9 tonight.
What crust?
You've seen it twice already.
Good morning. Is Miss Starlin in her office now?
Miss Starlin's in conference. Would you like to speak to her secretary?
Oh, no. Just say to Miss Starlin I should like to see her when she has time, huh?
Yes. Was there something else, Mr. Zinthrop?
No. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
What a character. A regular 2-eyed Dr. Cyclops.
Even the bow.
Good morning. May I see Miss Zodling, please? He's a real weirdie. Wonder what his game is.
Who cares?
You know, Morton thinks he's a crackpot. I heard him telling Cooper so. Old Bug Eyes really has the execs worried.
About what?
That's just it. They don't know.
Oh. So anyway, back to Irving.
Good morning, Miss Darling. Good morning.
Good morning. I couldn't get away any sooner. Is it important?
Miss Darlin, do you remember the big cat I showed you last week? No?
What about it?
Well, I want you to look at him. Come.
No.
Quite a difference, yes?
That's incredible. The same mark.
It's a cat.
You're young again. Can you realize what that means? You're a kitten again. Your whole life to live over. How does it feel?
I think perhaps you'll be able to find out for yourself, Miss Starlin. Today will be your first injection. Come. Sit down, please.
Mr. Gleason of accounting on line 3.
What is it, Gleason? I sent you a memo. Mr. Zinthrop has carte blanche to order anything he requires. It is no concern of yours, Gleason. Make out a check for the full amount.
Sue? Mary, can I talk to Mr. Lane a minute? Bill? Hey, listen. Gleason just got a bill for $2,300. Zinthrop. Enzyme extracts.
Now, back to The Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
Roger Corman has worked on 300 films. 50 of those he directed himself. And funnily enough, I could only find around 10 writing credits, which I'm sure he wrote more, but he was never credited for any more than those 10, really. The writers for this film were Leo Gordon, and the story was provided by Ken Zinthrop. Both of these people had worked with Corman on other projects, and Ken Zinthrop would work on a film called Beast from Haunted Cave, which came out in '59, and came out on the same day as this film because it was the double feature to this film, yeah. That's why this film's around an hour and 12 minutes or so. It's because it's intended to be viewed as a double feature, which I originally wanted to do, but Beast from Haunted Cave is not directed by Roger Corman, and they were smart enough and got the copyright sealed and dealed, and yeah, so we can't really view it on here. And if I ever do view it, I'll let you know, but I highly doubt it's ever going to be on this show. Something interesting since the last break I've noticed is these gender relations between these characters. There's just this like kind of casual 50s sexism banter, but Mary, who's played by Morris, she gets upset with Anthony Isley's character, Lane, and I think that's interesting how they have this banter. I've read somewhere that people are trying to say this film is subverting these tropes, it's trying to spin them on their head, but the film came out in 1959, and just something tells me I highly doubt that this film is trying to say anything about sexism. It could be, but for me personally, I doubt it. And then another scene I think was really funny is this Zinthrop scene. The man hobbles in, and these two girls look at each other, and the Lynn Cartwright character, the one behind the desk, she was married to Leo Gordon in real life. Her and the other receptionist are just looking at each other and just treating this guy like he's the weirdest guy, which, I mean, he is acting very strange. But it's funny enough how she just kind of changes her mind, like, who cares? But it's funny how everyone else in this office is just so up in arms and is so like this guy's got to be something. This guy's weird. And I'll agree. I'm going to agree with them. I think this guy is weird. And I wouldn't be shocked if Zinthrop had a Frankenstein's monster in his future. Or, in this case, a Wasp Woman.
Yes, we are making progress. There's great improvement in the tissue.
Why is it taking so long? It's the third week.
You forget, my dear, there's more to you than a little kitten, no? Besides, there's a difference in metabolism.
Why not increase the dosage? Wouldn't that step up the process?
Patience, my dear, patience. We must tread lightly, with care. Your arm, please. You know, I've been experimenting with a concentrated solution of the enzymes. Oh, a great deal more powerful than the solution I've been using in your injection.
Oh?
Yes. And I think it will be better for lotions, as an emollient lotion. It'll make estrogenic creams and all such products old-fashioned. My dear, Starlin will be world famous, bringing youth to millions.
If you're right, Zinthrop, there are going to be a few red faces in my advertising department.
But I am right. Why, your own mirror will tell you that I am right. Why, you look at least 5 years younger than you looked 3 weeks ago.
I know.
Will you let me talk to Bill a minute, Sue? Thanks. Bill, I think I've got it. Yeah, I'm a nervous wreck. At lunch.
You'll have to translate for me, Coop. I'm not very good at that technical stuff.
Pseudo-technical. Mr. Zinthrop's a very capable confidence man, from what I read in his letter. He claims he can stimulate the processes of rejuvenation through the use of enzymes extracted from wasps.
Oh, for...
Well, what are you two Sherlocks going to do about it?
Right now, I don't know.
Frankly, I'm getting tired of the whole business. That woman's so intent on holding back time, she's ready to fall for the first phony line she hears. Wasps.
Bill.
Face the facts, Mary. Janice Starlin has built her whole life on youth and beauty. Now that she's losing them, she's scared to death. Right now, she's on cloud 9 with that quack Zinthrop, but I'd hate to be around when she comes back down to earth.
Well, maybe we can let her down easy. I think we owe her that much.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do? We can't just let Zinthrop build up her hopes and then knock the props out from under her.
How can he do such a terrible thing? Poor Jan. There must be something we can do before it's too late.
He's got a mighty convincing argument. Very impressive to the layman. 10 to 1, he's got a record just as impressive. Well, there are ways to find out. The answer might be right here in our hands. Heads. I'm going to keep this letter for a day or two.
Wait a minute. Suppose she finds out it's gone. I'm the only one with access to that desk. She'll know I took it.
Well, that's a chance you have to take, Mary.
I think we can be pretty sure that Coop knows what he's doing, honey.
Oh, come on, young lovers.
What is it, Maureen?
It is you, Miss Starlin.
Of course it's me. Who did you think it was?
Well, you look so different.
Finish your nails. Maureen.
Hmm?
I think your phone is ringing.
Oh, yes, Miss Starlin. Good morning. Janice Starlin, Enterprises.
Gentlemen, Janice Starlin Enterprises is about to start on the most widespread publicity campaign in the history of the cosmetic industry. Our slogan will be, Return to Youth with Janice Starlin. When Mr. Zinthrop arrives, there will be a press interview, and all questions regarding the rejuvenation process will be referred to him. That'll be all for now, gentlemen.
It's amazing.
Why, it's wonderful. You look marvelous.
I said that will be all for now, gentlemen. Good morning. Oh, not you, Mary. Wait a moment, please.
Yes, Miss Starlin.
Mary, isn't it wonderful? It's a miracle. A wonderful, incredible miracle.
We were so worried about you. We really thought you were in danger. We even went to plotting how to rescue you from Mr. Zinthrop. It all seems so silly. It seems ridiculous.
Oh, Mary. Mary, how old do I look? Tell me. How old? How old do I look? Tell me. How old?
23, maybe 22.
That's how old I was when I started Janice Starlin Enterprises. Do you realize what that means? I'm back where I started, 18 years ago, with what it took 18 years to accomplish. It's like a dream.
Now, back to the Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
Greed. So it begins. Greed is a typical vice or lesson taught in a lot of these types of parables. Yeah, this is like a modern parable, essentially, told through a schlocky 50s science fiction movie. It's kind of something you would see like, you know, in Grimm's or Aesop's tales, but in a modern, well, modern-ish now, setting. I think it's interesting, and I wonder what the intention was behind this. I wonder if there was any thought into like a lesson to be taught through this movie and just how much passion went into it. Because The Fly came out a year before this, in 1958. I believe that's when the original Fly came out. And they were probably like, either Leo Gordon or someone was like, well, we need to do a movie about another bug that people hate. Another bug. Scare people with it. And what's a bug that people hate? And they're like, mosquito. And someone's like, no, we gotta do something more than that. And Kenneth Tush comes in, and she's like, well, people hate wasps. They don't really do much. And Leo Gordon and Corman look at each other, and they're like, yeah, we could do that. And Kenneth Tush is like, and we can also make it about the cosmetic enhancements and how prioritizing those over your like life are not worth it, and we just age gracefully. And they look at each other again, and they're like, sure, let's make the movie. I doubt that was the intention, but I like to think that's how this happened. It was just like them trying to make another bug movie, because that was a big craze. There was a lot of bug movies, because we're going to talk about another one of those about leeches later on, but not yet. But this film was made for a whopping $50,000, which I took notes on this. $50,000 translates, from 1959, translates today to around $516,000. Now, that does sound like a lot, considering that's more than $500,000, but when you think about it, that's really not a lot of money. Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog was made for half that, and that's like 40 minutes and it has big name actors, you know, something like that. So for $500,000, this movie is like fairly competent. Yeah, it's cheesy in some areas, but a lot of the actors are doing, especially Susan Cabot, are doing a great job in this. And Roger Corman has this title of being the king of the B-movie, or the Pope of pop culture. And these titles are not, you know, easily given away, but I think Roger Corman himself really deserves it. Like I said earlier, he churned like 300 of these things out. And they might not all be good, but he did it because he really loves making movies. You can look up just how much this man loves making movies. And you can kind of see the passion that is like oozing into this movie. Because the average movie today takes around 10, actually no, let me look at my notes. I wrote this down. 50 to $100 million to make. This is less than one. And that's kind of crazy. I think he just has such a passion that you can see, and it's really damn fun to see. So I'm excited to continue watching. But I have one question. Where is the Wasp Woman at?
30 years ago, a bunch of quacks were treating people with monkey glands. Seemed to work for a while, and then the deterioration set in.
That's awful. Do you think that will happen to Jan?
I don't know. If I could just get inside of his lab and run a breakdown on what he's using.
Mr. Zinthrop! Mr. Zinthrop? Mr. Zinthrop? I want you to find him, Mr. Hellman. I don't care what it costs.
We'll find him, all right. Sooner or later, we find them all.
Time is vital, Mr. Hellman. Every hour he's gone, it means more than you can possibly imagine.
Well, you haven't given me very much to go on. No home address, no former employer, no phone. This is just like starting from scratch.
Mr. Zinthrop wasn't a conventional employee. He didn't go through regular personnel.
Uh-huh. You say he came here about a month ago. Well, how did he come here, Miss Starlin? He just didn't walk in off the street, did he?
The letter. Right here in my drawer.
Maybe, one of the other drawers.
So that's what she meant.
What who meant? Starlin, the letter's been taken, and you think you know who took it, is that right?
My secretary, Miss Dennison.
You got her address handy?
Her phone number.
It might be better if I busted in on her cold. This way she'll have a chance to prepare a story.
I know what I'm doing.
All right.
Mary? Janice Starlin.
But before I went to lunch, I made a duplicate copy of Mr. Zinthrop's letter. I was going to take that one to Bill and Mr. Cooper at first, but then I thought that the original would be better.
Have you got the copy?
Yes, it's in my desk.
Get that copy, Miss Dennison.
946 West 73rd Street, Manhattan. Yeah, that's right. Get right on it, Jerry, and check back with me as soon as you can.
Yeah. Oh. You're sure he's our boy? Uh-huh.
Is he?
Central emergency.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it looks like we've got him. This is John Doe down at Central Emergency, auto accident. There's no identification on him, but he was wearing a lab smock and filled Zinthrop's description.
Mary, get my coat and Lane, get a cab downstairs. Is he badly hurt?
Head injury, general contusion to the body.
He's had a severe injury and there's definite brain damage. Just how much, we can't tell as yet.
How long before you'll know?
It's hard to say, Miss Starlin.
Who's the best man for this kind of injury?
Well, there's several top specialists.
Get the best. I'll take full responsibility for the expenses.
Yes, Miss Starlin.
Hello. Welcome to the first Russey review. So you kind of are already noticing probably that there's a lot of reviews sprinkled throughout this big review of the picture tonight. And yeah, that's true. Essentially, my goal for Russey Reels, the show, is to be a review of multiple things. I wanted my channel originally to have a lot of reviews, but I think I want my Russey Reels, the channel, to have more kinds of content, varied content, and Russey Reels, the show, to have a lot of reviews and that sort of thing. But anyways, for this first one, we'll be doing Misery by Stephen King. Stephen King is a writer who I enjoy. I haven't read him since middle school or high school, though, and at that time I read Cujo, Christine, Carrie, a lot of C's. The Mist, and those stories. And I really enjoyed those, but I haven't read them in years, so I decided to pick up Misery and read it because I enjoy the movie with Kathy Bates in it, and it's really good. I might talk about that sometime later and review that, but we'll see. But yeah, Misery. Misery follows a protagonist named Paul Sheldon, who is a writer, in typical Stephen King fashion, is a writer who finds himself in a terrible circumstance. He gets in a snow-ridden accident in his vehicle, and he's picked up by a woman who takes him to her home, and she is his described #1 fan, and she really puts the word fan in the word fanatic. And Anne Wilkes is her name, and she is this very capricious woman who takes Paul Sheldon, and Paul Sheldon in this universe is the writer of the Misery Chastain books, and they're like these kind of pulpy romantic historical novels, and he ended the series, but she hates the ending, and she wants him to write a new ending. So Paul Sheldon is, 1, writing a book he absolutely does not want to write, and 2, trying to escape the house of Anne Wilkes. And it is extremely fun, in similar Stephen King fashion. It's very fun. The protagonist is, sometimes I feel like his protagonists feel like Stephen King, but in this, it feels like a different person. And he's very rude, he's very funny. And he's just trying to get out of this situation. Anne Wilkes is an awesome villain. She's very... This book... I never get scared by books, and I'm not going to say I'm going to get scared now. Especially since I already knew what was going to happen, pretty much. But, it's a very tense book at times, though. And I'm sure if I knew nothing about this book, and I read it late at night, it would have been a lot easier. Or not easier, harder to read, because it's tense. But speaking of easy to read, this book is very easy to read in similar Stephen King fashion. He's not, his prose isn't gonna marvel everybody. So you can read this pretty quick. I read it in about 2 days. Of course, I was reading like an hour, 2 hours a day. There's about 300 pages, so it's pretty short, which is why I would recommend this as a first Stephen King novel. But I'm going to talk about some of the caveats here. Sometimes it feels like the book actually could have been a little bit shorter. There were some things I'm like, okay, well, we didn't need to stretch it out that far. And Speaking of, I am reading The Stand right now, which is a huge book. I think it's longer than it. And I'm going to be reviewing this next month. Oh, and this is not a horror book review show. I know we're reviewing a horror picture tonight, but this whole show is not horror themed. It's going to be a lot of horror because that's like, the most fun to review. But I'm going to review all kinds of things. Like next month we're doing the Orson Welles movie, so we'll probably have stuff to do with that I review. Besides The Stand, we'll be definitely reviewing that next month. But yeah, Misery. There's also something in here I don't like. That is, he shows you the bits he's writing, not Stephen King, but Paul Sheldon. You see, and it's in a different font, but you see like the Misery book he's writing, and you have to read it all. And sometimes it goes on for like 15 plus pages, and I don't want to read it. Not that it's terrible. I mean, it kind of is bad, and that's the point, but it's not fun, and it goes on a little too long. That's what I'd say could have been clipped. Those sorts of moments. And it's not... there's a few that you have to read to understand what Paul Sheldon's going through and what he's writing. But I would say there's probably like 4 segments of this. I would say you only need 1, and at most you need 2 to like understand. You don't need, especially the middle one that is super long, you don't need it. You do not need it. So that could have been cut. But overall, the book is extremely exciting, and in Stephen King fashion, pretty horrific. So I'm going to give Stephen King's Misery an 8 out of 10.
Now, back to the Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
Well, not exactly a wasp woman, but a wasp cat, I think. I think that's what that tumor was supposed to be on the back of the cat's back, but some budding wings for the feline, maybe? I'm not sure. You couldn't really tell too well. You could tell, though, that that cat was obviously thrown, had Zinthrop as he fought it. I think OSHA or some other kind of workplace environment laws would definitely prohibit using animals in this way now, which is a good thing, but I think it's funny just how violent he kind of gets. And then his character turns and chokes the cat out till it's lifeless. So some normal cat slang for you in this film. And he just walks outside, off screen, gets hit, feels like the camera should shake like it's a Flintstones bit, and you're or something like that. And then he falls over, and we'll find him later in the hospital. Also, something very funny about right after that is Arthur goes in there, and Arthur, as we've seen in the movie, is seen with the pipe quite a bit. I think every single scene he has the pipe. And he goes in there and hides, and then Janice follows shortly after. Wouldn't she smell freshly burnt tobacco in there? Because from what we've seen, the doctor didn't smoke, I don't think. So Janice will be like, smells like, because tobacco in a cigarette and in a pipe smell different. I mean, of course I'm thinking about this too hard, but the man must leave a red herring trail everywhere he goes. I don't know. It just feels like a discrepancy. Speaking of discrepancy, in that scene where they're driving around looking for the doctor, which actually probably, I couldn't find a definitive source, but I found a lot of people saying this. Corman himself is the man showing the picture to everybody as they go around, which I think is pretty interesting. A lot of directors have done that, though. Hitchcock and Tarantino and such have been in their own films and played somebody. I mean, Hitchcock's usually just a cameo, but what have you. But when they're driving around, that was actually one of the scenes they shot for the re-release of this film. And that was shot in 1964, and this film originally came out in 1959, but in the background you can see outside the car windows, you can see as late as 64 Chevys, which is very funny, which is a small discrepancy. Speaking of Roger Corman being in this movie, that doctor at the end there is none other than Roger Corman himself, who has a main speaking role for just this scene, but he's in it nonetheless. But yeah, let's get back and see what Queen Bee is up to, or if Queen Bee is going to show up really at all in this film.
I don't know, Arthur. I think it best we wait.
It's been 3 days since the accident, Jan. And no sign of improvement. He's still in a coma. You heard what the doctor said. He may never regain consciousness. And even if he does, who knows how badly his brain has been damaged.
Well, I'll give it another 48 hours. If he doesn't regain consciousness by then, well, you can take over the laboratory, Arthur.
Janice.
It's my decision.
Incredible. Right in front of our noses. I can't have used it all. I could run a qualitative analysis.
Thing always goes on a fritz right in the middle of a good program.
I want this to be the biggest advertising campaign in the history of cosmetic advertising. Every newspaper and magazine in the country will be flooded with our new slogan, Return to Youth with Janice Starlin.
Excuse me, Miss Starlin.
What is it, Thompson?
I think we should be a little conservative, Miss Starlin. Cosmetics are one thing, medications another. We're liable to run into trouble.
Yes. All advertising copy will be cleared through your office.
Well, it's a touchy business, you know.
Max is right, Miss Starlin.
You don't have to second the motion, Lane. I want one thing understood very clearly now, gentlemen. Janice Starlin Enterprises is going to bring the most fantastically saleable product ever developed by modern cosmetics to the public. And I don't intend to be restricted by timidity on the part of my own staff. Is that clear?
Are you all right, Miss Starlin?
It's just a little headache, Mary. I'm fine.
Can I get you something?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you.
I have some aspirin in my purse.
It's all right, Mary. Well, that'll be all for now, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. Gee, I sure hope they give the girls working at Starlin first crack at that new stuff. Imagine being 18 again. I guess if it can take 15 years off Starlin, it can take 10 off you. What do you mean 10? Face it, honey. This is Maureen you're talking to. Yeah? Well, if I were you, I'd take a double dose. Then maybe Irving wouldn't watch television so much. So who says he looks at it? I can't imagine what else he does. 3 guesses. Say, did Cooper come in yet? Missed a board meeting this morning. I bet Starlin's having a fit. He should worry. Uh-oh. See you later. Bye, honey.
Hi, pretty puss. You know where, Miss Starlin's office is?
Suite number 1.
La-dee-da, the Duchess of Flatbush herself.
How'd you like to have this phone wrapped around your ear, wise guy?
It's more like it, sister. Suite number 1.
Thank you. Miss Starlin,
Oh, what is it, Mary?
is there anything I can do?
Yes. Is Mr. Zinthrop's room ready?
Uh-huh. The nurse is fixing the emergency equipment now, and the ambulance is due any minute.
Well, be sure to let me know when it arrives. Oh, Mary, please, before you go, could you see if you could work that thing?
Oh, sure. I've seen lots of these.
Oh, simple enough. That'll be all, Mary. Thank you. We've had a room especially made over for you, Mr. Zinthrop. And Miss Warren has a room adjoining yours, so there'll be someone near you at all times.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you're feeling better, Mr. Zinthrop, there are a few things I'd like to discuss with you.
Good, good.
We'll do everything we can to make you comfortable, Mr. Zinthrop. I'm going to spend the nights here in my office. So if anything develops, I'll be on hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Starlin. Only there's something. I must tell you. Something important. But I cannot remember.
I'm sure it can wait. Right now, the main thing is to get you back to health. Take good care of him, Miss Warren.
Yes, Miss Starlin.
Sure is funny about old Coop.
You miss his one day of work and you're ready to call missing persons.
Well, he's a pretty conscientious guy, honey. If he felt sick or something, he'd have called in.
Relax. He'll probably be in bright and chipper in the morning.
Oh, am I interrupting something?
Oh, we were just having a little coffee clutch, Miss Starlin. We were talking about Mr. Cooper.
What about Mr. Cooper?
Well, about his missing the meeting this morning. Nobody's been able to reach him all day.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. Mr. Cooper's been here a long time. Probably feels he's entitled to take a day for himself now and then.
That's what I've been trying to tell Mr. Lane.
Oh, by the way, Miss Starlin, how is Mr. Zinthrop?
Oh, fine. In a few days, we'll start the layouts for the campaign.
Oh, I'm ready when you are, boss.
Look those over.
Hey, Bill.
Huh?
Don't go getting any ideas about the boss.
Well, me? Don't be silly. I just wanted to know that I'm an eager member of the team. Still, she is looking a lot younger these days, isn't she? You think Zinthrop would give you any of those treatments? You know, break the
Who could possibly want to hurt Mr. Cooper?
Johnny,
You're still afraid.
stop it now. I mean it.
Now, back to the Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
Corman, thank you. Finally. Now, at 50 minutes into the movie, we have gotten our look at the Wasp Woman. The makeup is very low budget, very schlocky, but it's also eerie. I like how she says nothing, and there's these kind of just ambient noises when she comes in. And that these people have no time to react, you know. She is not, you know, Michael Myers has that slow walk, and he has that silence, same as Jason. Or there's always that iconic, like, Chucky in the hallway after he's burnt, just walking in silence. And it's always intimidating, but she doesn't walk. No, the Wasp Woman bolts. She bolts right into Cooper, tackles him instantly. He tries to defend himself, but he's merciless, throws him to the ground, and bites into him, and we see blood. There is blood in this movie. In the first human kill of the movie, yes, there was cat slaying, but in the first human kill of the movie, there is blood, which was chocolate syrup, by the way. And also that gag right after was so funny. I was unexpectedly, like, laughing at that, because it felt so modern. The guy listening to his music, like, unaware of what was happening, I didn't know the trope was that old, because I can think of a few modern, I can think of a few modern scenarios. You know, you got Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1. There's a scene where a woman's listening to music while people are fighting in the kitchen. And then Carpenter's Halloween. You have Lindsay watching the television, the monster movie marathon, as she's being called and she hears nothing. And then a more recent example is Barb from Stranger Things, as she's taken away. I think Africa by Toto is playing, and Nancy is discovering Steve's body in the same moment. So I'm surprised the trope is that old. Speaking of old tropes as well, some more sexism, but the sexism doesn't really add anything. It's not like it's like the women defend themselves, and the guys are just seen as pricks. But it's strange to me. I don't know, it was just kind of felt random. It just kind of was like in there. Like Corman's like, I need this movie to be a bit longer, and he threw it in there. I don't know, it just felt kind of weird. But speaking of assholes as well, I don't know what has happened, but Janice is awful. When she has become this Wasp Woman, she is like cold-blooded, and it isn't she knows that Arthur is dead. She doesn't want people knowing. So it's not like a fugue state. It's not a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of scenario. It's a scenario where she knows what she did. And she's more scared about aging than she is to confronting what she's done. I know she's a business owner, but she's very sociopathic now. Jeez. But yeah, once we get back, it'll be the end. And these last 10 minutes are the conclusion to the movie. So I hope you enjoy, and see you soon.
Guarantee of this, too.
that? What?
Here, lie back now. You just had a bad dream. Lie down now.
Oh,
Go to sleep.
Such horrible sound. Like a nightmare.
It's a bad dream. Lie down. Just a dream.
Tell Mr. Green that personnel is his responsibility. I have other things to think about than worrying whether the night watchman walked off the job.
Well, that's just it, Miss Starlin. Mr. Green feels that the watchman never left the building. His lunch pail and his raincoat are still in the basement.
I don't want to hear anything more about it, Mary.
All right, Miss Starlin.
We'll use these.
Oh, fine.
She swears she heard a scream from one of the other floors. Zinthrop heard it too, but she convinced him he was having a bad dream.
Oh, maybe they both were.
That's not funny anymore, Mary. There's something going on in that building. And I'm going to find out what it is.
How?
Have a look around Cooper's lab, for one thing. After that, I don't know.
Hold it steady.
Bill, this is crazy. We could really get in trouble.
I won't tire him, Miss Warren, but it is important.
All right, Miss Starlin. I'll be in my room.
Zinthrop. Zinthrop, you've got to help me. Something's happening. Something's happening to me. I can't control it.
There is something I must remember, but I can't.
Try to think. The wasp enzymes. The extracts you were experimenting with before the accident. Try to think.
I can't.
Well, this is Zinthrop's notebook, Mary. Notes on his experiments with Jan.
Well, how did Cooper get hold of it?
I don't know. If only Coop would show up. Mary, look.
It's Mr. Cooper's pipe.
Well, don't you get it? He's going to go out without his pants and leave that pipe behind. He's still somewhere in the building. I bet a year's salary on it.
If he is.
He's dead. And the night watchman.
There's only enough left for one more injection. One more. You've got to make more, Zinthrop. Help me, Zinthrop.
Please, my head, oh, my head.
Zinthrop, help me!
Oh, what?
Help me!
Is he asleep?
I don't know.
No, don't touch him.
If anybody knows what's behind all this, it's him. Mr. Zinthrop.
Bill. Look at...
Coat, purse, and everything else are still in there. She wouldn't go out without her purse.
Bill, let's get out of here. I don't like it.
cat. The cat must warn her.
Mr. Zinthrop.
Who are you?
Well, there's nothing to be alarmed about, Mr. Zinthrop. I'm Bill Lane, and this is Miss Dennison, Miss Starlin's secretary.
Miss Starlin. The cat.
What about a cat?
Must warn her. Injections. Must not take any more injections.
Is Miss Starlin in danger?
Terrible danger. I must...
Take it easy, Mr. Zinthrop. You're still pretty weak. Mary, see if you can get Jan on the phone.
All right. All right.
There's no answer. Oh, Miss Starlin?
Is that you, Mary?
Where are you? We're in the building. We're in Mr. Zintrop's room. Something's happened down here.
Here, let me talk to her. Hello, Miss Starlin. This is Lane.
Why are you and Mary still in the building?
It's after 10.
I must help. I'm
Don't let him get up,
responsible.
Mary.
Yeah. I must help. I must not
I
hold
can't
me
explain
back.
now, Miss Starlin.
I must go.
Hang on to her.
I must help. You must not hold me back.
Don't worry, Mr. Zinthrop. We won't let anything happen to Miss Starlin.
Hello. Hello, Miss Starlin.
What's going on down there?
Stay in your office. I'll be right up. Keep an eye on Zinthrop, honey. I'm going upstairs.
Oh, no. The insects. The insects.
Take it easy, Mr. Zinthrop.
You do not understand. Miss Darling, she's in danger. I must warn.
Look, I'll have to stay here. You go for Jan.
Okay.
When you get up there, call the police. You can't get outside on this phone.
All right. I'll hurry.
Not the police. Not the police.
What is it, Mary?
Miss Starlin, please. Will you please call the police?
What for?
Look, I don't have time to...
Mary! I'm sorry I had to do that. There's no time for hysteria. Now, what is this?
The enzymes, they've gone crazy.
Sure, Mr. Zinthrop. Now, you just relax and take it easy. Everything will be all right. We'll take care of those, whatever
You do not
call them.
understand. You do not understand that girl. You shouldn't have sent her upstairs. She's in danger. You must stop her before it is too late.
Okay, as soon as the cops get here, we'll take
Oh, you fool. Miss Darling will kill her and tear her body to shreds.
Miss Starlin, kill Mary?
Miss Starlin is not a human being any longer. The enzymes have changed her. She will destroy the girl as a female wasp would destroy her enemies, and then devour the remains.
Then Bill found Mr. Zinthrop's notebook in Cooper's desk. No, there's no mistake. We've got to call the police now.
Now, Mary, you're just getting a little excited. Now, who could possibly want to hurt Mr. Coop?
I don't know. It's not only Mr. Cooper. What about...
Mary!
I go with you.
I can't wait. I'm going to take the stairs.
Oh, look! Laboratory. She's gone to laboratory.
Get up the stairs fast.
Mary.
Now, back to the Wasp Woman, hosted by Russey Reels.
What an iconic end to go off with. That shot where Mary looks up at the Wasp Woman coming into frame from the shadows into the light is just so good. The makeup is just good enough, and then the black and white effect really adds to it, just kind of highlights its like shimmer in the eyes. So when it like looks up and comes forward, it's like, it is a cheesy B movie, but that scene is awesome. If you haven't seen this film, you've probably seen that shot before, maybe. I saw it way before I saw this movie the first time, and yeah, that shot is just great and fantastic and just so memorable. I love it. It really felt like, for this last segment, it really felt like Corman kind of looked at his watch and looked at what they had, and it was like, oh no, and had to like wrap this up quick. There's a lot of stuff that just kind of suddenly happens, characters realizing things, and then the death of the night guard when he gets his pistol out. There's just a lot of stuff that was kind of crammed in that ending. And speaking of ending of the Wasp Woman, that I've read many sources that say this is true. That carbolic acid that was sitting there in that glass container that the doctor throws at the Wasp Woman, when that was thrown, it wasn't supposed to be filled with water when it hit her. So when it hit her, apparently, yeah, that pain she felt was actually real, because it felt extremely heavy with the water inside it. Even though it is breakaway glass and it's meant to break, yeah, it felt extremely heavy upon impact, and which caused her to fall over, and the liquid smoke they were using got into the suit and got into her lungs and caused her to, you know, start choking. So she had to rip the suit off, which ripped a portion of her neck as well, which is terrible, you know, which is a terrible like violation. And speaking of tragedy, for a second, and this is a content warning, this is very real. So Susan Cabot, this was her last film. She would go on to do TV a little bit, but mostly she was in like seclusion at the end of her life, and she lived with her son who had dwarfism, who was taking a growth hormone for his dwarfism, which I didn't know that was a thing until recently. I haven't looked much into it, but apparently, yeah, there is like a growth hormone that people used to take for dwarfism, which is interesting. I didn't know that. But so she goes in, or she doesn't go, but her house sends out a call to the police that there's been a robbery at the son. They come over, and the son tells them that a Hispanic ninja came into their house, attacked his mother, and took $70,000 in cash. Well, of course, the police found no evidence of a Hispanic ninja anywhere. But what they did find, and this is graphic, in Cabot's bedroom, they found her lying on her stomach, and when they took the sheet off, her head was basically gone. Bone everywhere, brain and blood everywhere. And later they found a barbell or a lift, a weight in the son's room that was, covered in blood. And the son admitted that he did it and attacked her. And he said it was self-defense because she was taking this growth hormone, like taking his own medicine because she had like severe depression. She was trying to treat it with this growth hormone. And I just think that's kind of a creepy parallel you know, to this movie. Like taking something you shouldn't take, to like treat something. It's just strange. And the son, said it made her have mood swings and she attacked him, but she was found on her stomach in her bed, so it probably wasn't. But I guess we'll never know for sure, as the son died, I think in 2002 or around there. But yes, this film, sorry about that, there's no other place I would have talked about that. But this film would not exist without Roger Corman, the writers, but most importantly, it would not exist without Susan Cabot herself. She's obviously the best part of this movie, and she gave a hell of a performance for her last go. So yeah, and thank you all for joining tonight and watching this B-movie with me. If you sat through the whole thing, thank you, and I'm glad you're here. I hope you're here next month as well. We got that Orson Welles movie to watch, and this was a hell of a thing to put together, so I'm glad it worked out, and I'm glad it's all here, and that you're watching it now. So please come back and watch more content on the channel. As of now, there isn't much, but you can check out what's there if you want to. It's a lot of old footage and such of mine, and I want to do more content like this, and of course the show next month, because we got an award to watch. So thank you all, everybody, and good night.